Hello, this is Jen Kitzmiller at the National Weather Service in Missoula, and I have your planning briefing for February 27th, 2020. Just a few of the highlights that we're looking at here coming up through the weekend and into early next week. Friday, tomorrow, looks like really our warmest, driest day going forward for the next week or so. It's going to be quite warm. We're looking at temperatures in the 50s. As we get into the weekend, Saturday in particular, we do have a pretty strong cold front coming through, so a few concerns there with gusty winds and some mountain pass snow. And then really for the rest of the weekend and early next week, we'll be in a cooler, more showery pattern. It is possible as we get out into the Tuesday time frame that we could have another wind and snow event. I'll talk a little bit more to that here in a minute. So here's a look at our weather impact matrix. You'll see Friday is our one totally green day. The days that we really want to highlight to you guys is Saturday for that cold front with some snow and wind. And then once again, there's that potential on Tuesday to see some similar conditions. So here's just a look at the current satellite imagery. And basically where you're seeing those blue and green colors kind of represents areas of the atmosphere where there's weather systems and warm moisture. Right now we've got high pressure building in, and so you'll see that reflected by generally clear skies across the west coast. But the system that we're really tracking is this guy here, kind of off the Canadian coast. This is the system that's going to be bringing our cold front into the area on Saturday. So speaking of Saturday, that's kind of our main highlight period that we're watching. This is a look at potential snowfall amounts with that system. It's going to be a pretty quick moving front, so we're not overly concerned with snowfall amounts, but you'll see a lot of the mountain passes will be receiving some snowfall, particularly those passes through central Idaho, so Lolo Pass, and then Lookout Pass and Marias Pass across northwest Montana. Valleys, for the most part, snowfall amounts are expected to be fairly minimal. With the warm temperatures on Friday out ahead of this system, it should help keep accumulations from really becoming too much of an issue. The other concern that we do have with this cold front is that it does look like winds will get fairly gusty, particularly up across northwest Montana. So this is a look of kind of what the peak wind speeds might be on Saturday as that front passes. One thing I will point out is this front is not nearly as strong as the one we saw last weekend on Sunday. So we're really looking at more wind gusts into the like 30 mile per range. As opposed to what we saw last weekend where we were seeing 40 and even 50 mile per hour winds. So it's not quite as strong. The other kind of limiting factor with this one is that it's coming through more Saturday morning into the midday hours. So it just kind of keeps those wind gusts from becoming as strong as if it came through later in the afternoon. So here's a few of our timing graphics. This is for Lookout Pass, but this would be very representative for both Lolo and Marias Pass up across northwest Montana. And so you'll see those snowfall amounts really start to come in late Friday evening, but the temperatures really don't drop off to below freezing till Saturday morning. So that Saturday morning time frame really is that main focus of where we may have some accumulations on the roadways. And then I put in a timing graphic for McDonald Pass. So this would be more representative for southwest Montana. One thing I'll say here is that the frontal passage is later in the day. It's more in the afternoon. And so it is possible that these amounts that are represented here are actually on the low side. It'll become more convective and more showery in that afternoon time frame, and so that can lend itself to seeing some higher snowfall amounts in more scattered areas. So just a heads up for those southwest Montana areas, McDonald Pass, maybe even into some of the valleys, that in that Saturday afternoon time frame we could see some periods of some more intense snowfall. So then things become more just generally cool and showery in that Sunday into Monday time frame. We're not expecting a lot of impacts, just more nuisance snow, especially on the passes. But then we do have potential for a stronger system basically Monday night into Tuesday. So this is the current forecast of potential snowfall amounts. One thing I will say with this system is that confidence isn't overly high at this point. Our forecast models have been diverging somewhat on just how intense the system will be. So this is a potential, but by no means are we highly confident in the amounts you'll see here at this point. But you'll see that there is potential that especially the higher terrain could see quite a bit more snow in the early next week time frame. Another thing with this is there are some indications that there could be quite a bit of wind with the system as well. So it could be another strong cold front with breezy winds and then the snow on the passes. So this is a time frame we're watching. We will speak to it a little bit more on Sunday when we do our next impact briefing for you guys, but just wanted to give you a heads up that that would be maybe our next potential stronger system. As far as the 6 to 10 day outlook goes, the overall weather pattern is kind of shaking up where we have low pressure weather system over the center part of the country and high pressure along the west coast, and that leaves us in kind of a moist northwest flow. So continued periods of showers look pretty likely going into the beginning of March, and that kind of pattern tends to favor more normal type temperatures, so pretty normal seasonal temperatures for that same time frame. So that's all I have for today. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to give us a call. Otherwise, we'll do this again on Sunday, and we appreciate you listening to our briefing. Have a great day. And I gotta stop this.